What is up, Internet? I'm here showcasing a launch model Sony PlayStation, the Japanese launch model specifically from 1994. At first glance, this looks like any other PlayStation, but when you take a look at the back, you will have way more ports than most models do. And when you see these AV and RF ports, you know that this is a first version or first revision. However, if you have an S-Video port, then this is one of the first batch models from Japan, aside from seeing the Japanese characters above the I/O ports. So if we take a look on the back, we'll see that it says SCPH 1000. We'll have a little bit of the volts, wattage, and we have a S Kisarazu, which is where this unit was manufactured, along with the serial number. No manufacturing date like the American ones do, and that's about it, really. Let's take another look at the ports. So here, this is the serial port. This is I think the link port that let you play LAN games. And these are the composite ports. This, I believe, is supposed to be the RF port. I'm not really sure. And this is the S-Video port. That's AV. And then the figure 8 power port. So here's the front. Everything else is pretty much identical. And also in English too, funny enough. If we press eject, we will see the laser is on the upper left corner as opposed to the right side like most later models. Having the laser up here was actually the reason a lot of these Model 1s would begin to fail early, is because it's right above where the power supply is. So as heat rises, it would cook the laser. So what a lot of people would do is play with the console vertically, or even to the extreme upside down, so that heat doesn't rise towards the laser. So it's pretty much it externally wise. We're gonna take it apart and see what it looks inside. So I'm not too sure of the history behind who owned this particular unit. Not sure how it even ended up here in the US, of all places, but does seem like there was some kind of warranty sticker over this screw, so it's already been removed. So I'm hoping this hasn't been tinkered too much, but you know, we're gonna take it apart anyways. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phillips head screws, and how you can tell is that they all have arrows pointing towards them, so there's nothing hiding underneath the sticker, thankfully, and nothing underneath these pads. So we're gonna unscrew and take it apart soon. Okay, so all 5 screws have been removed, and let's try to lift this up. Okay, and this is how it is underneath, and doesn't seem to be too bad. A little dusty, but other than that, I mean, it's in pretty decent condition. So let's take the camera. So this is what I mean. This is the power supply. Capacitors look all right, considering its age. And I think so, if I'm correct, yeah. So the laser just lifts up. You just gotta remove this little tab. Okay, so once the laser is removed, you'll have more arrows pointing to the rest of the screws. And let's see, you have some screws here holding down the memory card and controller ports, or at least the RF shield for it, I think. So we'll just remove those and take a look underneath to the motherboard. Okay, so I think that's all the screws taken out. Just to point out, these three here are a bit smaller, but everything else, they're about the same size, and they're all brass colored, so make sure not to mix those up with the screws that close in the top shell. And this shield here just removes on its own. So there's a closer look at the memory card and controller ports. It's attached by this ribbon cable to the motherboard. So first you want to remove or just pop this out. Careful with the ribbon cable here, and then this RF shield should come out. It's actually pretty heavy too. It's a heavier chunk of metal, and you also want to be careful. There is this cable connected to the motherboard to the power supply that's covering this too, so make sure to unplug that before tugging any cables. So this is the RF shield, this is the underside of it, and if you get it out of the way, here is the motherboard. Closer look at it. So this is, like I said, the first model SCPH 1000 Sony PlayStation. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of chips. Noticing some discolorization here. Not sure if it's oxidizing or anything. But yeah, let's see the computer chip right there. There's another one. As you can see, it says 1994 Sony Computer Entertainment. Here are all the the chips. Actually, they're upside down. And some more chips here. We have some little, I think they're called capacitors, I'm not sure. But everything seems to be good, just a little dusty is all. Then out of the way. So before we can move the motherboard, there'll be 3 more screws. One right behind where the AV ports are, and the 2 holding down the parallel ports. They're about the same as the other motherboard screws, but in this case I don't want to mix them up. Okay, so to remove it, there's going to be like another RF shield underneath the motherboard, so you just lift carefully from there. And let's see, just some more dust and hairs here, and of course the power supply is here. So I'm assuming to remove it, all you need to do is unscrew the 2 screws that are by the power supply, or where the figure 8 port is. Okay, so power supply is removed. So this is the underside of the lower half of the shell. Just get that out of the way. And right here is the power supply. If you're doing this at home, make sure to wear rubber gloves and protective gear in case there is some sort of voltage still. But just taking a closer look, I mean, everything other than dust seems to be in good condition. This is the button that turns it on. Right here's the fuse, so if the fuse ever breaks, you can just remove it and put another one. Here's the underside. And now let's take another look at the motherboard. So and here's that RF shield I mentioned, so this can just be removed. And this is the underside. Got some more chips there. Noticing some discolorization there. Not sure if it's any oxidizing or if it's just old flux. And here's the ports again. So, not sure if this can be removed or not, but I'm not going to mess with that. Okay, so there's the motherboard and everything else. Now I'm going to do a deep clean of it, and hopefully this should be restored back to how it's supposed to look. Okay, so the motherboard has been cleaned up. In fact, the whole console has been cleaned up. I just have it in parts laying all around. But now it's much brighter now, not as dusty. And if anyone did notice something, this piece actually broke off while trying to disconnect the cable from the CD drive. This actually just popped out. So right after cleaning it up, I had to resolder it back in place. It's just 4 little pins there. So now it should be working back to normal again. Alright, so now that the whole console's been cleaned up, we're going to put it back together. So here's the motherboard with the RF shield underneath it. So making sure everything's lined up. You just put this back into place. Okay, and then you want to screw in and then I'm gonna put the power supply in. Careful with this little hook here. You want to put it right under, and then it should fit into place. And then put the 2 screws in. Let's see, what is the next step? Yeah, should be the memory card and controller ports. Be sure when cleaning it to pass a Q-tip in the memory card slot. But it should just line up. Not even line up, it just fits right into place. And just connect the little ribbon cable. Next, look for the RF shield. She goes one way. And be mindful of the cable for the power supply. Does this go after? Yes. And screw everything back in. If you remember, there were 3 smaller screws. That will be for the memory card controller ports. And to put the laser, you just want to line them up, these 3 kind of sockets onto these 3 pegs, and then connect the ribbon cable here. Plugs right in. Cool. So putting the whole system to the side, we have the top shell here. I took it apart a little bit to clean it up. It really helps to take out the buttons here, since a lot of dust and gunk can get stuck there, and it can get the button stuck. So I'm gonna put them back. Although I didn't show how to take it off, it's very simple. Just underneath it, you have the buttons, and you have these two clips. You just squeeze them, and they'll push out like so. The open button is a little different. So what you want to do is, with the open button, it has a spring with it. So just line it up, or you can actually right there. Squeeze it in place, and there you go. The spring's lined up too. And on the other side, because of the mechanism it has, you want to take this little plastic tab, and you gotta line it up a certain way. I'm trying to remember which way. I believe it's this. Yes. Just like that. Then you're gonna have this metal piece here, and make sure it's the one where this kind of bent here is outward, like that. And then you just want to screw it back into place here and here. It's going to be this little spring here. Want to put that through the little hole on this, and then bring the hook over like that. So how it is. And if you remember, there was that little latch that was underneath the shield. So if we test it, there you go. Here's the power, and reset. Reset, you just push in on its own. Power, make sure to put the spring back into. There you go. And reset just sinks down from gravity. I guess, oh, before putting it in, make sure these little, I don't know what they're called, holds together, I guess bracelets. Make sure they're both down so it doesn't get in the way. There we go. Test the power button, make sure there's a click. Same with reset. And open. Cool, and then take a look around the console. Make sure everything lines up, and then just screw it all back together. Alright, so PlayStation is back together and everything's hooked up. For this, I'm using the Pound HD for the PS1 and PS2 for direct footage. And for this, I have Crash Bandicoot 3. Crash Bandicoot 3.
Sony Computer Entertainment. Universal Interactive Studio. Logita. Crash Bandicoot 3. の声、そんなバカな。うちの中に隠れるのじゃ。あのうかうかがまた復活するとは。クラッシュ、クラッシュ、クラッシュ、なんでわしの邪魔をするのだ？今度はわしも仮面ぐらい持っておるわい。どちらの仮面が強いのか比べてみるのだ。やっと来たな、クラッシュ。今度も1回だけならお主を守ってやろうかの。ハテナの足場に乗るとボーナスチャレンジに行けるぞよ。リンゴどっさりウハウハじゃ。
So, as you can see, the console works. Even after all these years. This machine still works. Though it does play games, does it still play music CDs? Let's see. For this, we'll be trying out I Set the Kill, Damna EP.
to pay. New beginnings, here we are.
Yep, seems to work fine. Though I wouldn't use it as a CD player, at least it's a good way of, whoops, drop the controller, but good way to see that the console still works. Alright, so that concludes showcasing the Japanese launch PlayStation 1. Thank you all for watching and have a good one.